Afternoon everybody, Rich here, back for another video for the Diecast F1 review. And here today is the Benetton B195 from the 1995 Formula 1 World Championship by Paul's Model Arts in 1/18 scale and driven by Johnny Herbert. Still from the Michael Schumacher collection, but of course with Johnny Herbert in the car. And you can see me in the reflection. Hello! And there's my hand there, yes. Hello in the reflection. Right. So yeah, this car from the 95 season could have smashed many records throughout the season. It took 11 victories throughout the year, 9 for Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, and 2 for Johnny Herbert. Although there could have been 3 more victories on top of that if Damon Hill hadn't knocked Michael off in the British Grand Prix. And also two mechanical issues, one in the Canadian Grand Prix where he had a gear selection issue, cost him victory there, and also a mechanical issue at the Hungarian Grand Prix, which probably would have sealed him, probably would have won that race as well. The only time the car looked beatable was at the Argentine Grand Prix, where Damon pretty much outraced Schumacher throughout the day, and the Italian Grand Prix where Schumacher was down the field at the time when Hill again ran him off the road. But apart from that, the car was pretty much adapted to every circuit. Whether it wasn't the quickest in qualifying, I'll take that, but in race trim the car was unbeatable. The strategists at Benetton already knew their numbers, they knew what they were doing. They made Williams look like amateurs. Also the Williams that year was, although not revolutionary, but the first car of the new rules, and it was quick, but nothing compared to the Benetton. Scratch my nose there. But yeah, this car for the 95 season. There is a repaint of this model as well. I've got the Ligier behind it, which is a repaint of this car. I will get to that later on. But here's the model in its box. It's a bit dusty at the top because I haven't cleaned it for a long time. But it's in an early Minichamps box with the grey and white checkered, or grey, white and black checkered flag. Also a label on the side which is blank, I don't know why. And also a bit knackered, this box as well. I mean, it's 20 years old now, but doing quite well. Got the Benetton badge there, serial number, barcode, whatever it is you want to call it, and also not much on the other side, and also the Grand Prix collection on the top. But apart from that, that's the box, so I should do a quick jump cut, take it out of the box, and we'll have a look at it then. So back in a moment. Okay, back again, and here's the car in its unboxed form. A very nice model it is as well. Seem to have a habit of reviewing Benettons and mainly McLarens, although I do have another McLaren review to do after this one. But anyway, here's the car and its beauty. It's crammed with sponsor logos and nice bright colours, although the green is absent from this car. It's 2 shades of blue, nice shades of white, or 1 shade of white, nice yellow for the Bitburger along the side, and very nicely made it is as well. It's quite fragile, it does feel quite fragile. I mean, it is, although it being old, I think it was fragile from the day it was made, because the rear wing is a bit flimsy plastic. The wing mirrors, although solid on this one, are they do tend to break off, although the ones I've seen tend to break off. The barge boards are quite fragile as well. They're only pegged in there and there, so that's actually loose there. You can see it's pegged, the pegs come out there, so a bit of glue required there. But apart from that, strength wise, it's not too bad. It's all metal from from under the rear wing to the nose. It's not half plastic like some of the later cars are, and the front wing's plastic as well. But apart from that, solid as a rock, as you can call it that. Colour scheme wise, I do love this Benetton. It's one of my favourite cars ever made. It's something that Benetton, I always liked about Benetton. The white rims with the blue BBS band on the inside really stand out on this car, and it's something that's really missed on Formula 1 these days. I'll just do another turn around this side. So you've got the band of Benetton colours on the back there, with a thumb there, and they really just show the sculpt of the side pods as well. You really see how sculpted the car is. Very nicely made too. There's a bit of damage on this one. Apart from the barge board, I've got a bit of an issue with the diffuser. It's a bit cracked there, so I need a bit of glue on that one. But it doesn't come out the box very often, so it's not an issue there. You do have the wrong way around, the Michael Schumacher collection stamp on the bottom there as well, although it's Johnny Herbert in the car. I'll just do a quick skate around of a quick zoom around. So you got the Nice detail on there. All the decals are all nicely made. There's no fading of the paint on this car either. There's a bit of dust on the front wing which needs to clean. There's no fading of the decals. Not much tearing either. There's no rips, although there are a few blemishes where decals are not quite attached properly, i.e. there. But nicely put together. And there's a bit of fraying on the front there underneath the main plane of the rear wing. But all the decals are pretty much all attached. And as I say, like I said, one of my favourite cars. Really stood out that in the 95. Bit of detail in the front of the cockpit, just get a decent view there. So the steering wheel's not painted, but there is a little bit of detail in there. You can't really see in the cockpit very well. But Herbert's helmet quite nicely decaled as well. No paint, I don't think it's required. I think it's just all stickers, I think. Let me have a quick look around the back. Another decal a bit loose on the rear wing there. Starting to show its age a bit, and you can see the crack and damage to the diffuser there. Not a big issue, but like I said, the car will be 20 years old later on this year, so it's lasted quite well. And price wise for this car, it's not, I won't say it's rare, but it is sought after. You do get, well, the Johnny Herbert version is quite rare, but the Michael Schumacher version is quite well, well, it's not, I say it's quite well, what's the word? It's out there, you know. It's not rare. It's easily available. You just got to pay through the nose to get one. The Johnny Herbert version, although rare, is equally as valuable, really, because I see these things sell for about £90 on eBay sometimes. I only paid £30 for mine. I bought mine at the Goodwood Festival of Speed about 8-9 years ago now, and I don't regret a single thing. Apart from I had to replace the window in the box. That was the only issue with it. But yeah, strength wise, like I said, the issues with the some of the plastic parts are a bit iffy. The steering is very loose, but it's attached. The wheels do feel a bit loose, but at least it works. And the rear wheels are a bit stiff, but they do roll quite nicely. So that's that one. And there are a few versions of this car as well. There's well, for the Benetton version anyway, there are this base version, and then there's the French Grand Prix edition as well, which is basically a different decal for the Bitburger on the side. I think it's Drive. What was it? What was the decal? I can't remember what it was called, but it was Drive something. It was fancy red lettering. And there's also the Canadian Grand Prix version, which is basically the Schumacher version with a few different decals. Instead of having Benetton in certain areas, it's got Renault or Motorsport written in some places. I think that's what it is, and maybe they did use a different logo at different races as well. Because I know one race they did have Motorsport on instead of Benetton, but at the French Grand Prix they used Renault instead of Benetton, or Mild 7 as it should be, because it should be Mild 7 instead of Benetton, but tobacco laws and all things like that. But yeah, the Canadian Grand Prix version is basically a Schumacher version, with, like the decals I just said, but with an Alesi figure sat on top, for Alesi celebrating his sadly only victory in Formula 1. So that's the only versions I can think of. I don't think there's any more versions available. I will have to check it, but for the Johnny Herbert version anyway, I think this is the only version available. I think most of it's spent on the Schumachers. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the Benetton. I did say at the beginning there was a repaint of this car. Now we'll just put the camera down, and I think it's going to fall over. I haven't got a tripod today, but never mind. And just point out there is a repaint of this car. Just move Benetton across, and it's the Ligier for the '95 season. Now it does make you wonder, really, did Ligier actually use a Benetton that year, or did they just, did they build the car based on the Benetton? But from the photographs, the car does look exactly the same as the Benetton. And I think Minichamps took that on and basically repainted the Benetton into the Ligier. Now we'll do a separate review for the Ligier at a later date, but just to point out that both cars are the same mould, from everything from the front wing shape to under the rear wing and the rear bodywork. In front of the rear wing, as you can sort of can't really get a good view there, but it's exactly the same model, exactly the same mould. Even the lump on top of the cockpit's the same, so it does make you wonder, was that car actually a Benetton but we'll see. And there's a bit of damage on this one as well. The rear wing's all chipped and the decals are faded as well, but never mind. Anyway, Ligier for another day. Back to Benetton. I'll just put him down on the floor. Right, now where was I? Don't know. Can't really think of anything else to say. This car is, like I said, readily available and a smashing looking car. It does look good on display, or it does look good even equally in the box. Although it does, oh shit, just peeled a bit of decal off there. Did ignore that. But yeah, it does look good on display or in the box. If you're a collector of these things, and I do recommend getting hold of this car. It's not rare. Well, the Schumacher version isn't, but the Herbert version is fairly rare, and I would recommend getting it. Either the Schumacher or this one. They're both the same basically, but yeah, they are very nice cars as well. So there aren't many cars from the 95 season which are readily available really. I think there's only the Benetton, and maybe the McLarens as well. They tend to pop up now and then, but apart from that, the rest of them seem quite rare, unless you buy the Quartzo Williams FW17, but I won't go there with that one. Anyway, that's pretty much my review. There's not much else I can say on the matter. It's, like I said, a very nice car and I love it. So this is Rich anyway, signing off, logging off and disappearing, and I shall return with another review. So bye for now.